So do you guys remember Table Turf? I feel like this is the most forgotten about part of Splatoon 3 ever. I see more discussion about the arcade minigames and local multiplayer modes of Splatoon 1 than I see about this. So today I figured I might as well talk about it. To be fair, I haven't even covered it that much on this channel. So today I want to do that. Take a retrospective look at Table Turf and see why it hasn't done too well. If you enjoyed this content, be sure to subscribe and let's get started. So I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people here who don't know how Table Turf works. So let me briefly break it down. I promise it doesn't take that long. Table Turf is a card game where you place cards in order to paint your turf. At the end of all the turns, whichever person has more turf on the ground wins. The gameplay is made special, which comes in the method of 4 unique mechanics: the boards, the specials, the special squares, and how cards interact with each other. The boards come in a lot of different sizes and shapes, influencing what kind of card decks you want to use. The special spaces can charge special by being completely surrounded by other spaces, whether it be yours or the enemy team, which can charge your special, allowing you to place a card even on the enemy's turf. Turns are played at the same time, so if you place over each other, whichever card has less spaces gets priority over the others. If they have the same, then they'll gray out. And that's kind of it. It's a pretty simple mode, but honestly is a lot of fun to play. There's a decent amount of depth in terms of how you build your decks in order to build your specials well. You want different cards based on different stages, and there's a lot of unique combinations, with the Table Turf cards themselves being really well done, featuring a lot of 2D custom art of a bunch of different weapons and characters, which is a great amount of artistic detail that I've really appreciated. Table Turf card art has been one of the main things I've used in thumbnails for the longest time. And these cards aren't that hard to obtain. A lot of Splatoon has you unlocking things by playing other parts of the mode. Single player can give you locker decorations, Salmon Run can give you chunks. In this case, it's pretty easy to get Table Turf cards through the catalog or the gambling machine. So let's talk about how you play the mode. You have 2 options, single player and multiplayer. Single player has you battling a wide variety of the Splatoon character cast, which is awesome. You get some extra dialogue between the characters, and they even have unique details with how the cards they use represent them. For example, Little Judd has some story relevance by using a bunch of Salmon Run cards as a kind of hint to the fact that he might be taking over Grisco. That's a really cool detail. These characters have 3 different levels: level 1, 2, and 3. Basically your easy, medium, and hard difficulty. The easy one is pretty easy, as you might imagine, and the level 2 one can sometimes be difficult depending on if the board is tricky for the deck you have, with the level 3 one providing the main challenge. All of this seems really good so far, but it all falls apart because of one giant problem. The character you play will always start at level 1. You have to beat them 3 times to make them level 2, where you then have to beat them an additional 3 times to get them to level 3. And this is true for every single character. If you're an experienced Table Turf player who's beaten almost every single character and you play against a new one, that character is going to be level 1. You will have defeated plenty of level 3 Table Turf opponents, but have to be reset to the easiest difficulty over and over again. My experience playing Table Turf has been putting on a YouTube video to have something to listen to while I mindlessly go through the level 1 and 2 opponents for 20 minutes in order to finally play the difficulty that's a little bit engaging. It is a very bad gameplay loop, and I really don't know why this restriction is there. I get it for the beginning, but at some point players become so experienced that the level 1 ones are almost never a challenge, let alone having to play them 3 separate times every single time. I can't stress how bad of a decision it is. It is the main thing that has gotten me to stop playing the mode. But hey, at least there's online. That can't be bad too, right? Well, at the start of the game, it wasn't bad. It just didn't exist. You know, you just couldn't play against other people at all for 6 months. But then they finally added it to private battles only. Yeah, in order to play Table Turf with people, you have to have them added on your Switch or be in a pool code with them, which means you can basically only play against people you already know. There is no form of queue or matchmaking or ranked ladder or anything. It does not exist to this day, and probably never will in this game. Okay, so both queues are a little bit messed up, but that might not be the absolute end of the world. There's actually another problem here that I think really puts Table Turf down. And to follow along with that, I want you guys to put yourselves in the shoes of a brand new Splatoon 3 player. You just got the game, you don't know anything about the Splatoon series other than maybe watching a few Turf War matches that Nintendo put in their trailers. How how long do you think it'll take you to find out Tableturf exists? Like, that it's in the game at all? Because there are 3 ways to find out about it. The first way is to notice it in one of the menus, which you'll really access if you're checking gear or rotations, which means you probably have a few hours in the game already. 2 is unlocking it from the catalog or Gambit machine to get Tableturf cards, in which you might realize there must be a mode for those, which again, will also take a few hours to get in the game. Or you could find it in the hub. Splatoon 3 conveniently puts pretty much everything you could do from side orders, single player, shops, and salmon run in a neat line in the middle of the hub, having the entire rest of it purely decorative. Except for Tableturf. Tableturf is hidden behind salmon run, literally down an alley. You have to explore the hub in order to find out it exists. And it's not on the main menu either, even though there's a slot for it. It's just not there. So, fair chance if you're a new player, you're probably not going to stumble down there unless you really like the hub. Oh, and by the way, while scripting this, I totally forgot they showcased the plaza after the tutorial. But guess what? Tableturf isn't shown or mentioned there either. Great. My point is, it's kind of hard to even find out Tableturf exists in the first place, let alone having 2 extremely limited ways to play the game. And all of this seems like some of the more obvious problems to fix in the entire series. So what happened? There's no way the devs haven't had the idea of maybe putting it on the menu. What was going on? Was this mode just put in the game in the last few weeks or something? Oh, right, it was. So, we know that Tableturf was pretty rushed, and it's kind of obvious if you look at the marketing for it, because it really was just only in the Splatoon 3 Direct as a very brief section. So, why does Tableturf exist in the first place? Splatoon 3 has so many different modes of play, and Splatoon 3 has some other new ones, like the whole lockers customization that people have been asking for forever. Well, they were asking for apartments, but, you know, you'll take what you can get. Well, I think it's one simple reason. There was a lot of criticism for Splatoon 3 not changing things up very much. So maybe they wanted to put something in the game that felt distinct and new to hook players into the series. If that was their reasoning, I think this was a very bad choice. This might be a hot take, but I don't think Splatoon 3's issue is not having some things to distinguish or evolve from Splatoon 2. I think its issue is that the evolutions it does have are very hard to notice because the game often hinders you from using them. I mean, Squid Roll and Search are like the primary example of this. Remember when they added Barnacle and Dime and there was a cool squid roll spot and they literally didn't let you use it? The only exclusive squid surge jump you can do is these little blocks on things like Mako Mart. These mechanics are great additions, it's just that the average player will barely find a way to use them, and there's a ton of those, but I'm getting off topic here. Tableturf is too different to me. It's basically a side mode, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that, to be clear. I enjoy playing Tableturf when it's not hindered by everything I just talked about, but I don't think it really fits well being in Splatoon 3. I mean, this game already has so many different multiplayer queues between things like Salmon Run challenges, 4 different ranked modes, Turf War. It's no wonder they didn't give Tableturf their own. They ended up hiding it away. The game already has so many things splitting the player base that it's hard to accommodate for one that probably isn't very popular in the first place. If anything, being in Splatoon 3 probably hindered Tableturf by having it be overshadowed by everything else. In my opinion, Tableturf should have been its own thing. Either have it be like a really cheap $5 Switch game, or have it be a mobile game. The latter of which is something I think would make it stand out a lot more, and you could easily just add smaller things to it like the arcade mini-games in it, which I would buy the app for alone. That way you could have matchmaking without interfering from the base Splatoon 3 game. It would stand out a bit more, and a spin-off for Splatoon is something that plenty of people have talked about, and I think branding it as Splatoon's card game is a pretty good idea. And hey, it's a pretty popular request to bring things like Squid Beats or the arcade mini-games back, and you could easily fit that into a mobile game too. In my opinion, the mode of Tableturf was a good idea that was hindered in pretty much every way by how it was implemented and the game it was implemented into. And I hope it gets a chance to shine separate from Splatoon 3 one day. I think Tableturf was added at the wrong time to the wrong place. But that's just my opinions. Do you guys like Tableturf? Let me know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.